Okay. That's odd. There's been a lot weighing on me lately. I haven't talked about it on camera before, but there's a gentleman that's been out here at the cemetery while I've been working a number of times now, a lot of it. And we've talked, we've had some interactions, and he's been drunk. He's been drinking while he was out. And at first, he was just sort of creeping off in the shadows and staring at me. And at first I didn't know that he had been drinking because I didn't approach him. But he was off there and I had my guard up because I'm here by myself. And of course things can happen. I'm not that concerned, but things do happen. So I'm aware of my surroundings. I certainly have lots of tools and of course all of my cameras. I have you all with me. But many of you know my background. I was addicted to Adderall for a number of years. And while that was a long time ago, I lost everything from it. And I remember that. And I know what it's like to be an addict. So no judgment at all for him going through that. So instead of wondering who the strange person was off on the edge of the cemetery, I went up and introduced myself. I said hello. And that's when I saw the bottle of vodka and met somebody who really wasn't there at the moment. They were consuming too much. So that made it a little bit more comfortable because then he started coming up and confronting me a bit, not in a bad way, but in an uncomfortable way. So yesterday we had a news crew out here. We had ABC News was out here. Our local affiliate was covering this story. And he had come out and was around while the news crew was here. And I explained to him the situation and what was happening. And they were certainly gracious and comfortable, no problem. But I wanted them to be aware. And so after they left, I went up and chatted with him and learned his story a little bit. And I hope to be able to learn more. I'm not going to share his name at this moment. It's not important. But he's definitely at his lowest of lows. And I explained how
you know, I've been there. I've absolutely been there. So if you're going through something like this yourself, I've been there. You're not alone. When I shared that I had a prior addiction with Adderall, it was something that he said he had as well, and that he had kicked it, but turned to alcohol instead. It sort of replaced that addiction, which I understand. Something happens with a lot of folks. He's at least somewhat employed, because I was asking about that, like, what can I do to help you out? You know, why are you here at the cemetery? And he was waiting for some friends to pick him up to take him to a hotel, because that was going to be a safe spot for him, and he knew that he needed to get out of the house. And I offered to give him a ride, but he said he was going to wait for his friends, and he was just having a hard time trusting people and opening up to people. He's been to classes before. He's been a part of that. He's interested, and so it's just been weighing on me. When I see somebody going through something, it hurts. And I wanted to share it with you all, because it's what I'm going through, and it's a part of the story of this cemetery right now, because he's been out here a lot, and it's certainly not the first time that I saw him, but I've kept it off camera, and I've kept it quiet, and I may continue to do so. This may be the last time we talk about it, but certainly I hope that it's maybe a journey that we can follow, and we can see him get some help if that's what he wants and he's open to. I certainly don't want to force anything upon him, but he certainly needs somebody to talk to, and so we need some resources for that. So if it's something that comes up where it's appropriate to share, I mean, I told him about all the cameras. He knows about you all, so clearly there's that. The news crew was here. I told him about all that, so he's aware. I don't want to fake anybody out thinking that they're, you know, on a hidden camera or something like that. He's aware. He's aware of the social media. He's aware of the cameras. But I share that because it's a lot of times it's something that we don't all talk about. People are very uncomfortable talking about it, and I've been there. I've talked on national television before. I told Kelly Clarkson about this. You know, it's a thing. I've had a video up about this on my channel before about my own story, and so if this is something that you are struggling with, any type of addiction, you're not alone. There's help out there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it from the camera here, but you can see the warping on this stone. That's definitely something that happens over time, and it's something that we have to take into consideration as we're resetting this, is this curve that's been added. It's been added by nature. So definitely something that we'll have to take a look at and see how this fits. Certainly historic stone takes its own shape over time. It changes and evolves in its character. Certainly in its color. When this was fresh out of the quarry, this would have been a bright white, and it would have been polished, would have been just really, really stunning. But as you see now, it's just weathered, and that's just nature. Nature gives it to us, and then it also takes it back. This is one that I don't have a whole lot of hope for with finding the actual inscription with a name on it. It's been fractured. We certainly have this significant lower part of it. And I can see that this says 23 days. Now it's possible that there's something that says a year up here, but the way that I'm seeing some lettering right here, I'm not super hopeful. So this could indicate an infant, but I don't really have a good understanding of that. So maybe there's a way to find some of the cemetery records that I can cross-reference that and see if there's any that have a 23-day lifetime. That's unfortunate to say, but certainly part of life. But I would really be interested in finding that. I don't know if we can though. We'll probably continue to probe around here a little bit once we get this cleared a little bit. Right now it's a bit messy, and I don't think we could get a thorough probing done with all the piles of dirt and the fractured keyways and the tablet that we've got here, but it's worth a shot to see if we can find it, because that would at least allow us to honor the person with their name. Certainly we have what we have available to us, but it would be interesting to have the name as well. So as I mentioned, I was out here yesterday with TV news crew. Thanks again, Stephanie. And we were looking at some of these graves, and this is one of them that we've been looking at now for a while with you all. This is the family with the two infants that I've been telling you about, and we've been looking at this and cleaning this, and you've seen this on video, and literally I'm sitting right here talking with them and telling them what we're doing. And I had an aha moment, and this all fit together. So I'll show you what I showed them on camera, because we already knew this fits there, right? We already knew that. We also knew this, and we knew this, right? And I remember I was saying this was like this, and I wasn't sure how that all fit. And you probably were all yelling at me through YouTube, but we figured it out while they were here. This fits right here. This is a lamb, and this one, it goes right here. And this piece, it fits right on the back of the lamb right here. Right there. We have the complete stone. And while the news crew was out here, I put this together while they were watching, and I just was astonished. So we've got everything. I'm super excited for this. So I wanted to share with you all that we've got a keyway, it's intact. We've got a stone. Yes, it needs some love, but we can do that. As a reminder, this is Alonzo and John. These are two children. John is a 12-year-old. I think this is 1-year-old, 9 months. This is the Barnes family, JK and MJ Barnes. So I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to share it with you before we even get going on this a little bit further, that we do have this complete, and I'm super excited for it. So you've been seeing me work a lot on tablet stones recently, and that's, as you saw, because I really want to get these up before winter comes with lime mortar, and that doesn't set well, and it doesn't set at all when we have freezing temperatures. We've got good weather right now, so we want to work on them. But what I want to work on today for a few moments is just getting a big obelisk rolled over. So we've got our bar out again, and this is one of the larger marble obelisks here in the cemetery. and it's just been buried. It's on a slope that's just been kind of pushing over against the wall, and so the obelisk gave way at some point in time. So my goal with this is I really just want to get this up and out of the dirt for now and be able to have access to clean it. So we've got our grid. We'll use this again just to keep things out of the dirt. And because it's got all these great holes in it that you can see, it's going to allow all the dirt to pass through it, no problem. It's plastic, it's super durable, but it's not going to harm our soft marble like other things can. So I love using that, but I just want to get this out of the ground for now and rolled onto something so that we can actually work with it and clean it. So let's get some stuff set up here. And I'm probably just going to roll or chip, and this is an area I don't care to work in quite so much. We've got a lot of traffic noise. This is basically the line where it didn't go any further, and then anybody that was buried beyond this is where they were removed or exhumed and put on in other cemeteries. So all the bodies beyond this area were exhumed decades ago to allow for the expansion of the road. I sure do love this shovel. This is a Fiskars Pro shovel, and any of the products I use, I always put them down in the descriptions, but it's just a shovel, but dang, for as much as I use it, I really like it. This is pretty heavy. I've got a hoist out here. I don't really want to use it. All right, perfect. Because this ultimately, because the top was exposed, so this will give us access to clean all this up. There is only an inscription on one side. Unfortunately, upside down, my skills for reading have proven to be not great, but at least it's up out of the soil. The other thing that we've got over here, I pointed out to you at times, is this. There's an F. And that's just indicating the front of this monument. So it was intentionally facing this way. And as you can see, this corner has dropped, and I'm not sure of it, but I'm gonna make an assumption that if I look off to this corner, that's where we have a retaining wall, and the wall has probably at least given way or settled a bit over time. It's an old wall, it's not super significant, but there's a slope here. And so I can expect that the soil creep is going to move that way. So we have a soft corner here, which means we do need to tear all this apart, and we are going to put a foundation in underneath this. That'll be a lot of work, but it's appropriate. But certainly apologize for all the traffic noise, but that is the nature of this location. So at least we've got this up, and this will be a fun one to get up. The other, actually here, I just noticed this as well. So there's also an F here, which is cool. So we have an F carved there. I didn't actually, and we know here, we don't even need an F because we have the inscription that's right there. We don't always have that much great information on these monuments, but this is terrific. They were super thoughtful about that, and I appreciate the folks in the olden days that were thinking about that kind of stuff. And They put it there because they want to make sure that the folks that are ultimately installing these out in the cemetery know what they're going to do. But those markings are great, so we know exactly what we need to accomplish, and at least they're out of the dirt now, and we can come back a later day, get them cleaned up, and we'll get this back in place. But for now, at least they're out of the dirt, and I got to use my bar. This is one of my favorite spots in the cemetery, underneath this cedar tree, kind of right in the center. And when it's lunchtime, when it's break time, I take all my pads and I line them up here, take a little break, kick the shoes off, relax, rest. Today's lunch, I don't know, it's late afternoon, so maybe it's even dinner. I haven't eaten yet, but a little grocery store sushi and a peach. Katie and I were in Georgia many months ago, last year Memorial Day weekend, and we saw peach orchards everywhere, but it wasn't in season, and so it's kind of a bummer we didn't get to go and have any of the peaches right off the tree or anything like that, but peaches are great. Super, super delicious. So back to the theme of lime mortar, we do need to get those up. We do need to get that worked on before winter hits, before we start getting freezes. So I was walking over here to work on cleaning some of them that I plan to do soon, but I also had forgotten that there's some that we haven't even excavated yet. There's some flags here. We have stone visible, we still don't know what it is. And I poked around a little bit, have no idea what it is. So let's take some time today and take a look at that. Let's poke around and see what we can uncover here. There's a couple things in the ground that we've got here, and something appears to be metal, and I don't know what that is, but it seems to be metal. And this, the heck if I know. I really don't. So there's certainly curbing here of some kind, but I don't know. It's far too big for a cradle grave. I mean, we have curbing through here, but let's stick around and see what we can come up with. For those of you that are just tuning into this series, we've been working on this abandoned cemetery for a while, and we've got everything flagged where we're able to find things with probes or something that was stone that was visible. And so most of those I've gotten pulled up, and you've seen those up on blocks. We've been working on those. And there's just a handful that I haven't pulled up yet because I knew that it was going to be a little bit more work, and I was trying to optimize time here. But right now I am immediately next to some tablets that I was going to work on, but I thought, well, as long as we're here, let's get these up. So we're kind of just digging around gently, trying to uncover a little bit more, because certainly there's probably 6-8 feet in this direction here where there's some curbing that I can see. But there's something, yeah, there's something here. Oh, interesting. So this appears to be a slate marker, which we do not have here. You see the coloration here? And you see that on end. Okay, well, let's keep poking around and see what we can find, but you can see this. One of the things I do like about this grid is just frankly that I can take fragments like this and kind of pile it up, keep track of everything. You'll have to forgive me for thinking this was even metal. It just has such a polished finish. And sitting in the ground like that, typically I just see corner markers. And to be completely frank, we don't have slate here in the Midwest. It is incredibly rare. Like, it doesn't exist for the most part. Like, it doesn't. So I'm gonna be curious to see what more we uncover here, because certainly I've come across it. I mean, it's all over the country here in the US, but just not here. So I'm fascinated to see what we find here. Okay, so we have a tree root. That's sort of typical, that's expected. Let's go to tree root too. Woo. You see this ground all moving? It's a big piece. Just sort of feeling for the edge of the curbing. Plus more here. Tree roots. Rock. You know what? This is all awesome. I can tell there's a curb. Cool. But I'm really curious about what's right here. Like, is there anything left? There's a stone, but like, what do we have in the center? Okay. That's odd. Is this a bone? No, it is not. It's plastic, but that freaked me out for a second. It's like a handle of a teacup. You can see it right here, teacup. It's probably what the remnants is of this as well, teacup. You can see the mold line on both sides there. It's a plastic teacup of some sort. I'm gonna admit that teacup handle gave me quite the startle. There are coarse bones under here. That's a given. We're not anywhere near disturbing bodies. And as a matter of fact, you can tell that we're basically just getting down to the surface of where the grave originally would have been. And I don't mean grave, I mean the surface of the stones being set, because we're digging out and excavating something that was intended to be visible, and it's buried. So in any sense, there's not a risk with that, but there are protocols in place should we come across human remains and so forth. That happens. It's not abnormal for something like that to happen, but that startled me. The first clue should have been this, which is a shell. You can see sort of a shell formation here. And the same thing here, super thin plastic, or something of that sort. It could have been a natural shell too, but anyway, you can still see that. But that was a cup handle, and I would imagine we'll run into some other fragments here as we dig. But let's keep digging now that our heart rate is down and you saw it all here on camera. And there's more of it. You can see that sort of polished finish. You can see some videos out there on grave goods. I've never done any on them. It's not something that I've really followed, but I know a few folks have put some out on, well, I know Katie's done one on grave goods in terms of like leaving things, tokens behind, and the traditions that are associated with it. Certainly like leaving a penny as a token that, you know, the grave had been visited. I'm not suggesting that a teacup is a grave good, but certainly theoretically possible. That is in there. There's another fragment of it here as well. There's more pieces. This back piece is actually loose. I wonder if we pull that out, if we'll get better access. Let's try that. So this is concrete, and this is their rebar holding that together. And you can see it here in the ground as well, right here. So basically it would have been cast. Now remember, this cemetery is 1855, and most of the graves in here are 1800s era. So those of you that are familiar with concrete, you're talking about historic concrete, not anything modern. But that's what we're looking at here. And I can feel these pieces here still down there in the ground. But it at least exposes this to see what's going on. But that's fascinating. Okay, so basically we've got a cast concrete curbing. I'm going to assume this was formed and poured in place and all of that, but this gives us a little bit more room to work with now. You see curbing in all sorts of different cemeteries. You see marble curbing and you see granite curbing, and certainly here with concrete. Sometimes curbing can denote a family plot. Sometimes it's indicating of an individual's grave, which is what we have here. This is not a family plot, it's for an individual. So right on the backside, I'm fighting a root, some of the metal strapping, and trying to be careful of the headstone. There's a lot going on right here. Okay, so we have more of the stone in front of it. Let's dig a bigger hole. We certainly know how to start digging holes, my goodness. Well, the unfortunate part about all of this is that I think all we do have is just this simple fragment with no inscription. And while it is in there deep, I just don't see any inscription on here. And in that case, unless there's something, I mean, there's fragments clearly right here, but unless we find something more, we won't be able to tell who it is. And actually some of this is even just glass. I'm still hopeful, but whatever it is, it's not a large stone, because I can see this edge is polished right here and finished. So it'll only be a couple inches wider than that. And I do believe it's only about an inch thick. So it is quite small, but it's quite buried. A lot of roots down here. There's a lot of trees right here. That is so down in there. Oh my God. Woo. So let's just remind you all, we just saw that tiny little edge. We saw about an inch at the top, and we saw just the top of that concrete and the very tip top of this. And you can see behind me, but look where we are now. It doesn't tell us anything at all. In fact, it kind of feathers off into nothing right here. So you see the little cross section here and here. You'd almost never know what side is up, but literally nothing. And it does appear to be the right width. Unless this is, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some research on this, but we have a stone. We have a stone, and I think at this point, it's been a long day. Let's go do some research, and we'll call it good for today. Just come back with me tomorrow. And I think this is a good place to call the end of the video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Come back, we'll keep working on this headstone, excavating this entire plot, working on the curbing, but stay tuned for that. So thanks for watching.